Thank you all for coming. We're going to make this a regular weekly thing. Press conference at 11:15, followed by the radio show. Coach Haynes is here. Going to make an opening statement in a sec. He is joined here by senior wide receiver Tyshon Goode and senior defensive tackle Roosevelt.
All right. Thanks everyone for being here. Pleased that we got off on the right foot, last week with the victory over Liberty. There's a lot of good things on film, a lot of things that we got to continue to work on. Again, pleased that we got off with the right foot. Definitely got a huge challenge this week. Bowling Green, again, beat Tulsa pretty handily. I actually played Tulsa last year. It was a little bit closer than what they played them, and I know that they are a good football team. So we got a big challenge this week with Bowling Green. They're doing really good things on offense. They've kind of changed their quarterbacks a little bit, but we'll kind of, prepare for both of those guys. But ran the ball very well, kind of moved the ball really good offensively, kind of nickel and dime in Tulsa. And again, their defense is very solid. So when you look at their defense, you see all juniors and seniors. So they've been in the system for a while. They understand the system. They play fast. They play hard. They play physical. So it'll be a big challenge for us. But we're excited about it. We're looking forward to it and for our preparation this week.
Coach, just kind of like on the teleconference, go over, what you saw out of your offensive line with this defense in mind. What you saw out of your offensive line, what you might expect with a couple guys coming back, just kind of maturation there where how it's Saturday. What you got out of them Saturday.
Well, I think, again, when you watch the film, there was a lot of good things that our guys did. When you can, the thing that we focus on is we got to win the rushing battle against anyone that we play against. That's one of the key points, and we did that. We ended up rushing, I think it was 190-something. It ended up 167 with the lost yardage. But that's one of the things that we focus on is we got to be able to run the football, and we did it better at times than other times. But we will continue to do that. The holding penalties, and there's probably about maybe close to 90 yards of hitting yardage that were taken away from penalties, that would have, upped that rushing, yardage and stuff like that a lot more. So those are the yards that you sit there and you watch the film. There's a lot of good things that were continued to happen. They were just taken away by penalties, also too. But, our guys understand. I think we talked about the toughness, part of what we want to be about, and I think our guys understand that. There's a lot of times during the game, in those 3rd and shorts and 4th and shorts that they definitely wanted to go in it, and they were already calling the play that they wanted to run. So that's where you see they're starting to buy into what you're trying to coach them into. It doesn't matter if they know what play we're going to run it. And we got to execute because it still comes down to blocking, us blocking.
At the end of the game, we were adding up the first down. I think 8 of the first downs came from Tyshon, 6 of them came on 3rd down.
Right.
Just kind of talk about that again, into that mentality that you're talking about. We want to see more.
Well, I think you definitely, the more that you can run the football, I think it opens up the passing game a little bit for us. So if we can sit there and we can pound it and continue to be effective in our run game, I think our passing game will be even more effective. Now that you can kind of go over the top a little bit more than what you wanted to or what you did last week. But Tyshon is a great back, and we got to make sure that we feed him. Continue to feed him. I talked to him a lot yesterday about, that part of it too. Is we have a saying, the program is the football is the program, and when you have the ball in your hand, you have the program in your hand, and we want to make sure that we can put the ball in the guys in the hands that we feel that can make plays for us, and he's one of them, and Tyshon is another one, and Dree and Humphreys and guys like that. So, but the more that we can run the football, the better effective we can be. I think it'll open up our offense even more.
What did you see out of your quarterback, Colin?
I think Colin played pretty well. You look at the numbers statistically, he played, really good. He managed the offense, and that's what we kind of tell those guys to do. We don't expect him to try to make great plays, and when he tried to make a great play, he turned it over. So we got to make sure that he continues to understand that. But I said it even after the game. He's harder on himself than anyone else will ever be, and that's a good thing because he will sit there and critique his game and work on the things that he's got to get better at, and I have full confidence that will happen with him. He will definitely get better at the things we tell him that he has to get better at. But for a first start for a young kid, played pretty good, but he will continue to get better and make better plays or make better decisions, at time to get us out of bad situations.
So no change for Bowling Green, he's still starter?
As of right now.
You mentioned penalties. Is there anything you do specifically this week to address that?
I think you got to harp on it like crazy in practice, and when you see it, there has to be a punishment, involved in it, because a lot of them were just a lack of fundamentals and technique and playing low, and once you get tired, this happens. You grab and you hold. So we just gotta focus on it a little bit more and a little bit better at coaching. I put that again on us as coaches, not the players. We got to make sure that we coach it better in practice.
How much, that was the first weekend of the summer, it was really hot for you guys.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if that's going to continue, but how much does that play in? And now that practices are restricted, because of classes, how do you play in it and improve that, play into that?
I think that played a big factor in it. You look on both sides of the ball. I sat there. I think the first series of the game, I saw their defensive line. They were actually throwing up as they were lining up, and it was crazy. And these guys could probably attest, to how hot it was. And your adrenaline's going. It's the first time you're going out there, and you sit there and you talk to them about, hydrating, drinking fluids and drink a bunch, and you never feel that you're going to start cramping up and doing those things, but it affects you. And it was one of the first hot times. It was a hot a couple times over the summer, but not like a bunch of 90-degree days. But, we just got to sit there and keep talking about hydrating, with these guys. Now that we, all during camp too, we practiced in the morning. We didn't really practice a whole lot in the afternoon. Now we're practicing in the afternoon. It's a little bit hotter, so we'll kind of get a little bit better feel of the heat, also for our guys.
Any update on Drake?
Day to day.
Is it ankle or
Ankle.
foot or
Ankle.
whether you can roll it or twist it or
Yeah.
fix it?
Just twisted it.
Can you go more in depth on the offensive line with those guys? Where are they?
McShane, again, is day to day. Did a little bit of running for us yesterday. Katouche, again, is day to day. Again, when you talk about the concussion thing, it's, based off of him going out there running and them, they're retesting him. Going out there running and retesting, and the more and more he'll kind of pick it up by the day, and they'll retest him, after practice. That's why, again, he's day to day. And McShane's really kind of the same way. We'll add more and more each day, and if he can handle it and the knee doesn't swell up, then we'll continue to go with as planned.
Reno started?
Reno, yeah, Reno.
Because he hadn't really played that much at that position, had he?
No, not a whole lot, but I think we talked about all during camp that we moved a lot of guys around for that very reason, to make sure that we can have the ability for guys to move around. And kind of like we do at the receiver spot of guys being inside, outside guys, it's the same thing that we did with a couple guys on the offensive line to make sure that they can play guard and, tackle for us, just based off of guys going down and injury. And, we did have a young guy, with Wayne Scott in there, that see how he does and roll with it.
Rosie's a 4-year guy. You're playing a game like this in the second week of the year. It's such a big game. Can you just talk about what it's like to play a game of this magnitude so early in the season?
Well, this game, you know how last year ended with BG, and I know they feel some type of way that they haven't they haven't really been able to succeed against us for the last couple of years. But I don't know. Anytime you have a conference game this early in the season, it's definitely important to get off to the right foot. You know, to dictate your own future. You know, you can control what you do when you win, especially when you win early. BG's a great team. We'll have to play as hard as we can for as long as we can to be successful. So it's not really to it. It's just football.
Tyshon, can you talk a little bit about being out there the first time after the injury and what it felt like to be out there, and now with that first game behind you, kind of looking forward, feel settled in?
It was surreal running out the tunnel. You know, being off for that amount of time, and you know, it was good getting the first catch of the game. You know, got all the butterflies out the system, and I just felt like me again. You know, getting into a groove. But yeah, definitely, you know, felt good being back out there, and with each catch, I was, you know, building more confidence and building more chemistry with the quarterback. So yeah, I was just happy to be out there with my teammates and flying around again.
Is it designed that way so that Colin can kind of get rid of butterflies if you could for the first time you were out there? Was that part of?
Nah, he just ended up calling my number the first play, and I just rise to the challenge and caught the ball. So I mean, I'm happy he called my number for the first play.
How tough is it when you got a young quarterback and you know all the plays are going to be quote-unquote safe plays, but they're safe for him, but they're the ones where you're going to get hit. You know, quick hits, little screens or short quick passes that, you know, where you're one-on-one, but you're probably going to get a hit. It's not like you're running a deep route or something. How tough is that, and how much of a mental adjustment is that to kind of say every time you're going to be a pop?
I don't really think it's a adjustment. I just feel like on those kinds of plays, it's important that you catch the ball, so he can feel comfortable with throwing those, with making those kind of plays. I mean, at wide receiver, you know, you got to make some tough catches sometimes and take one in the mouth. So I mean, with each play, it's important with having a young quarterback that you're able to make that play so he feels comfortable with throwing it again for the next time.
What's your assessment of Colin after that first game?
I think he had a great game. Like Coach said, he's tough on himself, you know. And after each series, you know, he'll come to me and ask me, you know, what did I see out there? Like, our communication is good. He comes over with the wideouts and talk to us. And I think he played a great game, and I think we'll do some good things this year.
How about his presence just overall? And that's something that Paul's really stressed, how important that is.
He has a great presence in the huddle. I know him being a young guy, might not seem like it, but you know, when the huddle is all together, it's everybody, eyes and ears is locked in on him. He has control of the huddle, no doubt, definitely.
Coach, I'm sure you've seen it on film, and obviously, Rosie, you played in it. While both teams come in with pretty good defenses and had the last couple of years, last year specifically, but I even say the last couple of years against Bowling Green, it's been decided on big plays. A big play, we had several big plays. I think all touchdowns in the game last year were all except maybe one was 50 plus yards.
Right.
How do you one, prepare for that, and two, try and get ready to stop?
Well, I think you just, when you look at, and I just, even before I came here, just watching them again, you know, I watched the last 3 years of our games, and there's been a lot of big plays, but when you look at them on both sides of the ball, big plays happen because of loss of leverage or missed tackles, and leverage letting guys outside of you or letting guys behind you. That's the whole part of the leverage thing that happens, and big plays happen. And then also there's a lot of missed tackles, So a lot of that is the base fundamental of defense that you got to sit there and make sure that your guys understand. It ain't about the X and O, what you call. It's about the base fundamental of tackling and also leveraging the ball, keeping it inside and in front. And if you look at every one of those plays, if on both sides, Bowling Green and us, if we do that, those big plays don't happen. So there's certain formations you're gonna get into, just like even last week. When they compacted and 12 personnel and they put 2 wideouts out there, our corners got to be great because they're not going to get a bunch of help a lot of times. And they threw the ball up a lot on our guys, and we threw the ball up on them. But it still comes down to me, the 2 base fundamentals of tackling and leveraging the ball.
How does that happen with 2 good defenses?
I think you get caught up in so much other, and you get caught up in making plays and instead of just doing your 111th. I think that's a big part of it. And, that's the thing that we sit there and we talk about, and we did a bunch yesterday in our practice. We worked a bunch on blocking and getting off blocks. And this game, we make this game complicated. We make this game a little bit more than what it is, but I tell these guys, the games are won off the stuff you've been doing since Little League. Blocking, tackling, catching, throwing. You've been doing that ever since you started football. And it still comes down to those things, and that's it. So no matter what we call, no matter all the craziness, it still comes down to the base fundamentals of doing it right. And when you lose sight of that, and you get caught up in calls, and you get caught up in this and that, bad things happen.
What do you see as kind of a key or 2 coming in this game for you guys?
I think that, I think it still comes down to being fundamentally, sound. On the offensive side of the ball, again, whoever runs the football the best probably has a good chance of winning. And on defense, the defensive side is not giving up big plays. I mean, that's going to be the key to the game. And when you listen to both coaches talk, I know that's a huge emphasis on this football game, is not giving up big plays, because like Elton said, that's what it's come down to, is big plays. And we got to understand on defense and special teams that those things are going to be important for us.
Speaking of special teams, you looked a little shaky with punch.
Yeah, and that's something that we got to continue to work on and catch the ball. And, we sit there and we say on that Rangers unit, all we need is the ball. So we ain't asking you to make something crazy happen. You just got to catch the ball. If we catch it, hand the ball to the official, we got a chance. If we're not doing that, then we're going to have problems. So we got to continue to work on those guys and, preach to them that they got to understand all we need is the ball, and concentrate. And again, comes down to a fundamental of catching the ball. Catching the ball is concentration. It's what it is.
Talk a little bit about, BG's, just kind of a bit about their offense and their defense and the players that stood out to you as you're watching the film.
To me, I think defensively, when you watch them, they're very sound. They didn't give up a lot of big plays against Tulsa, and they fly around. I think their front is very good, so it causes them to not have to gamble, as much. And now it makes your quarterback have to be a little bit more precise in his throwing, because they can rush 4 or just 5 and play with a little bit more coverage. So I think that poses a challenges to offense. And their back end, their secondary is better. So I think that's why when you watch them defensively, I mean, they fly around. I mean, they do a good job of flying around. Offensively, again, they started with, one quarterback, and then they changed him, super fast. And I don't know if that was kind of the plan or in the works or whatever, but you kind of saw a spark a little bit when 11 came in the game. but I still think they ran the football well. They ran the football well against Tulsa, and they didn't ask him to do, anything crazy. There was a lot of screens. There's a lot of short passes, and get the ball in your playmakers' hands and let them, sit there and do something with it. So I think that's what they feel comfortable with. It'd be interesting to see which quarterback they come in the game with. I don't think their game plan changes with the different guys. I mean, they ran the same plays, but it probably will come down to whoever they feel comfortable with. But they're a very solid football team, and this is years and years of the making that they've been together for a while, and to me, they're at their peak. I mean, they are at their peak of the program, their program.
How did they use that big back? Strictly goal line? Or
Yeah, it was short yardage, goal line type stuff, kind of pounding the football.
Are you going to make Dre a game time decision, or are you going to announce before, a couple days before?
Yeah, whenever I get the go ahead to say that he's 100%. I mean, it won't be a secret. I mean, I'm not trying to trick nobody. No.
With the way you're going to do the quarterbacks, you're talking about week to week kind of thing. Is there like a day when you're going to let a guy know whether they're starting or not, like a Wednesday or?
It'll probably be Wednesday after practice. Don't quote me on that, though.
In general.
In general.
Anything else? Thank you.
That's it?
Help yourselves.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. All right, guys. Thanks.